Yo, what's going on guys? Dorki here, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a VOD review for a viewer of mine. He's going to be making some mistakes, so don't be too harsh on him. This is mostly for learning. Let's jump straight into it. We're in a 14 Fear of Pain. It's tyrannical, raging, and explosive. Now, one thing I would like to see right away is we didn't start this key with any rage or with Incarn, pre-Incarn. And well, we're actually not even playing Incarn. So one thing I would highly recommend that many bear tanks out there doing is either hit a turnip bag or hit the trash right before the key starts and build to 100 rage. Then pop Incarn, or well, play Incarn too, but pop Incarn right before the key starts. So like here for example, if we had Incarn and 100 bar of rage, it would make this double pull here extremely easy, and you wouldn't have to waste too much. But since we don't have it, it's going to make it a bit more difficult. Now, I noticed right away is that we didn't use Focus Kick here. I would highly recommend using Focus Kick. Everyone out there tried to use Focus Kicks, whether you're a tank or healer, DPS, especially Resto Shamans nowadays. And let's go over UI real quick. So we've got a really good Iron Fur tracker, which I really like. Like here you can see, we have 2 stacks of fur, but in this aura, it's tracking that it has 6 seconds left. But you only have 6 seconds left on the latest one, whereas one of them is about to fade. And it's really good to have trackers like these to see how much furs you actually have. Also, this aura bar, I like it. Down here, we're tracking our cooldowns, which is good. Now, one thing I would like to see is tracking stuff like Incapacitating Roar and Bash or Mass Roots. What else is there? Heart of the Wild. So we're not tracking that, which I would recommend tracking. Like here we bashed this mob, but I didn't even see that we had Bash up or anything. But aside from that, let's see. One thing I've been noticing is that we're not using Mango and we're not using our furs enough. We have 0 stacks of fur right now. That is not good. We're sitting on 100 bar of rage. We convoked before spending rage, so we're just super overcapping rage. Bear tanks, I see this commonly. You should try to spam your rage a lot. Like right here, for example, we're not mangling. We're just swiping way too much. And we're not pressing furs enough. So first boss here. So far, we're encountering the same issue. We're not pressing out furs enough. Bark was fine here. Oh, and one more thing is that Searing Death just went off. I would highly recommend that everyone out there try to put your focus or try to put your kicks into Safael here. Searing Death is a cast that you generally don't want going off. Great job here though, by the way. Keeping these mobs regrouped, like moving these mobs over to the mob that jumped out. That's something that tanks should always be doing. Try to maximize cleave. Now again, we're not pressing Mangle, and that is a huge mistake. We're not pressing our furs enough, we're sitting on rage. Searing Death went off, so Searing Death's on him. Bark right before the slam, okay, I like it. Now we're regrouping the mobs on the caster, so that is great work over there. Bit of an overreaction, we got paints up because things were looking really south. But that is fine. We have no more cooldowns left. Decia should be dying soon. Again, we took that slam without using our rage. So here we should really be trying to use our rage. We need to Mangle and Thrash. These have been sitting on cooldown for way too long. Or off cooldown, I mean. Bit of an overreaction here to using Bark and Scale at the same time. But I mean, it's good that we're using cooldowns. I'd much rather have it where we're pressing our cooldowns rather than sitting on them. And we have went through every single one of our cooldowns. So the rest of this fight should be easy, nothing too crazy. It's just, Searing Death is going off way too much, which I would like to see kicked. But it's fine. It's gonna end soon. In a higher key though, for sure you should definitely be kicking Searing Deaths here. Another one's about, yeah, that one's gonna go off too. But the rest of this fight should be easy. We'll just skip over this. Our cooldowns are coming back up, so it's a good thing. So we're going Duelist first, which I like because we'll get Pride on the boss. And one thing I would like to see is that since we're committing so many cooldowns, we used Bark and Berserk. We should try to double pull here, especially on Tyrannical. But we're playing it safe, so that's fine. We're doing a good job using Furs now, but we're not thrashing or mangling nearly enough. We had that entire duration of Berserk where we spent too much time swiping. So one thing we should try to fix here is swipe less and use our other buttons more. So since this is Tyrannical, these mobs are a bit boring to fight. It's not too much to see. These mobs are not too impressive. But yeah, we can skip over this real quick. Again, these don't do a whole lot on Tyrannical. If it was fortified, we do need to be a little bit more careful and try to use more. But we're constantly pressing Bark. Oh, and I noticed we're playing the Bark Legendary, which is also really good in this dungeon, especially on Tyrannical. This key on Tyrannical is definitely a Bark Skin Legendary dungeon. So we can skip over this real quick. Now we get Pride here, and I want to see what we pull next. This Pride dies fairly easy. Alright, now we are using a bit too much on this Pride. We use the Scale here and Bark here. But immediately after this Pride is a semi-dangerous pull. And especially since we're not CCing, this is a bit dangerous. But considering it is Tyrannical, it's probably not too bad. And again, we're swiping way too much. We have a full bar of Rage. We're not using our Furs enough. And we're not pressing our Mangle and Thrash enough. So again, more of these and dump more of your Furs. Or dump more Rage onto Furs. Okay, we're doing a little bit of kiting here, which is fine. But like I said, it would have been fine if we spent our Furs more. Now we go into this mini boss. Again, it's Tyrannical, so nothing too interesting to see. I like that we're using Convoke a lot though. A lot of times people always ask me, should you be using Convoke in bear form or Moonkin form? But like as you can see here, you actually still gain a lot by using it in bear form. Sure, it doesn't do a whole lot of damage, but you still gain a lot defensively. Okay, so we can just skip over this real quick. Pride should be easy, and we get Pride into the first boss, which is really good. And I believe we have Lust sort of coming up. So the wall was a bit premature, and we ended up having to Bark overlap. Now this could be a little bit sketchy because we'll have some time where we won't have any cooldowns for the brutal combo. Again, even here, we need to be pressing our Thrash and Mangle much more. And ideally, you don't want to be using Furs when nothing is happening here. This is the time where I would say you shouldn't be dumping Furs. We do use Convoke defensively though. We have massive Furs for that combo, so that's a good thing. Now, this next combo we do have Bark for, and we need to be spending our Fur here. So we sat that whole thing with a ton of Rage left, and definitely be spending our Rage a lot more. The Bark was good though. It was a good Bark. Now here, we shouldn't be spending Rage because nothing is really happening. So we have this situation where we have to control where we're spending our Rage more. The Berserk was good because it ends up lining up with this combo a bit. And we have our Blood Scatter Scale. And then we have our Bark back, which is what makes this build extremely good in Tyrannical. We have Bark constantly. If not Bark, we have Wall. And if not Wall, we have Convoke or Blood Splattered Scale. Okay, so over here, oh, we actually taken on this entire combo with nothing. Which in a hierarchy, that would have been extremely lethal. But we got away with it, and that's all that matters. Wall for the last combo? Okay, that's fine. Oh, it's actually getting a bit hairy here. We can just skip over the rest of this fight. Now, where do we go next? We're going for a bomb limb first. So here I would like to put my focus on... Oh, that cast is about to go off. Okay, so that cast cannot go off. Wither Discharge. Meat Shield does get kicked, so that's fine, but... That cast going off can be catastrophic in hierarchies. So get into a habit of trying to kick this Blight Spewer. Again, this is... Oh no, that's actually 2 casts going off. That's a bit dangerous. But since it's Tyrannical and it's a 14, we're actually living with that. So yeah, ideally, these Blighted Spewers, try to put them on focus and try to be the one to stop it, especially if you're poking. We go into this pull with Scale and Bark, so that's a good thing. Should be extremely safe. Now here I would like to see Devour Flesh stopped, which usually goes off in pugs. But like this is where I would like to use Bash and Roar, War Stomp if you're a Tauren. Cast gets kicked, that's good. Devour Flesh goes off, which is unfortunate, but it's still fine since it's only a 14 Tyrannical. Now one more Devour. Oh, that was a great DB and a kidney. So that's what I would have liked to see more. The Mage and the Rogue using their stops on that guy more. That would have been huge. So we actually got some count from there so that we can come here, which is really good because if you do it this way, you actually end up getting Pride for Kulfarok. And on Tyrannical, you definitely want Pride on Kulfarok. We're struggling a bit here, so let's go over that again. So this is a really common mistake. Instead of pulling these first, it would have been much easier if you went ahead and pulled these here. Or if we like somehow stealthed and used something else. Now, that was a really big struggle to get all these grouped up. Our team is like all over the place. We have explosives. Our rogue actually ends up dying. And we commit a bit too much cooldown wise. We actually were losing aggro too because the mage started combusting right away. But all in all, we recovered. So here again, we would like to pull these and then immediately go ahead. So you always want to pull the further ones from where you want to stop at. So here it goes much smoother and great roar actually, I was about to say. Over there I would like to see like a roar or war stomp, even DB maybe, but that was a good roar. Our mage actually dies here too. Now here there's actually not a whole lot of reason to kite. Like I've said, we should be using our Thrash and Mango more furs. Over here, nothing too dangerous. Now I see this curse over here going off. I would highly recommend decursing here. Nobody else, well the mage can decurse too, but he's a pug. Actually, we get dangerously low here because of Enrage, but... Oh wait, we have Resto Druid too. But either way, we should try to decurse, especially as a tank. It would help a lot. So here, Pride, we can just skip over this. Okay, we end up taking right to the Magus. Now what I would like to see here is kicks on the Bone Spear. Okay, we got a beam off on that. Now, we're the only kick left. But they actually die really fast, so we're chilling. Up ahead is an extremely dangerous pull. Personally, I would be watching the Bone Spear just because it's a more deadly cast. But the volley is also extremely dangerous here. Bone Spear does get kicked. Now, since I got kicked, well, I mean, this is just gonna die instantly, actually. Okay, well then. That was not what I expected, but that became really easy. Now, this must be a real pug killer here. I can imagine that these are extremely dangerous with their death winds. We do a good job kicking and getting them in ASAP, actually. Because if you don't kick these and move them in, they become a bit split, making them hard to cleave. Also, again, I would like to see decurses. Try to help out your team a lot with decurses here. Everyone's actually doing a great job dodging the winds though, surprisingly. Oh, ooh, that was real close. You know, this is actually more interesting to watch just because I'm just watching everyone trying to dodge in pugs. But more decurses. Oh, there's the first decurse. Okay, I like it. This pack up ahead is also sort of a pug killer, I would imagine. No, here, great kick on the volley, although it does get kidney too. Someone almost gets sent off, not too bad though. We're living. So here I would like to see a bit more stops on the Soulbinder. On a higher key it would be dangerous, but at this key level it's not too bad. So us using our roars and bashes, like I've said earlier, it'd be a great idea to try to track those. Because we would like to see whether we have bash or roar up as ways to stop outside of kicking. So this pride should be easy and we go straight into boss. Now this boss here is actually not too interesting for tanks. The only thing I would really like to see is using personals for when the dot is on the tank. So this dot over here goes out on our mage and whatever this guy is. So far, not a lot is happening. Oh, we actually cat convoke. Wait, that actually owns. I like that a lot. Since there was nothing really happening in this boss fight, we go for the cat convoke. But here I would like to see more furs being used. And just to stay more self-sufficient. Okay, some off heals. Because as a tank on this fight, you want to be as self-reliant as possible. You don't want to receive any healing from your healer. Because your heal's going to be busy healing everyone else up. We are overusing a bit. Well, we actually ended up using on the shield, or on the dot itself. The shield on the dot. So that's not too bad. But aside from that, the rest of this fight should be pretty easy. Now, because we have a lot of travel time, that was a pretty good roar. We'd like to see roars being used a lot, soul shapes. We actually got back-to-back roars. That's good to see. So this pack, I would hope to see Wither Discharge kicked and Devour Flesh stopped if possible. First cast gets kicked here, that also gets bashed, that's fine. Probably Devour Flesh here. Goes off, not the biggest deal. this pull goes fairly well for the most part. Nothing too catastrophic. We do get by that swirly, but it's not too bad as a tank. And we have what is it? Dispels? Dispels? We have Dispel removes from our priest, so it's not too bad. Now in this pull, there's actually a lot to manage. There's the Devour Flash, the Meat Shield, and the Withered Discharge here. Hopefully it does not go off. Good kidney from the rogue. That was a great reaction. He noticed that we have no kicks, so as a stop he used his kidney shot. So nothing too interesting here. We can just skip over this. Now this bag we're pulling by itself, I think that's a good move. In a pug, it can be really hectic to pull this onto other stuff. Also, we actually ended up skipping the bag before safely. I didn't even realize. Here, that was actually a great Ursuls because these mobs, they jump immediately after they spawn, so you should always try to Ursuls on pull. So that Resto Druid did a great job with that. Now these two mobs, we could have actually pulled it with the pack just before. It doesn't add too much to the pull, and I think it would have been fine. But this is fine too, and also DB on the Devour Flesh, that was actually amazing. Great job on the mage. We do get a kick on the Meat Shield a bit late, but this is where I would like to see focus kicks, because if you can immediately kick that, that won't gain any absorb. And kidney shot on the Devour Flesh too. Yo, who are these pugs? I mean, we had a lot of cast going off earlier, but that was actually pretty good to make up for it. So last Pride, we get into Gore Chop. Let's see how Gore Chop goes. We bark on pull, which is not the worst thing in the world, but I would like to see it a bit more delayed. Probably could have started with Berserk instead. And we're not using our rage, we actually drop our fur, taking that Hateful Strike. We need to be careful with that. And again, we're sitting on really high rage. I want to see a lot of spams here. Okay, we do end up spamming 3 furs, not too bad. We had 3 furs for that Hateful Strike. We do have Bark coming up again. Like again, that's the power of this build, having Bark so frequently for all these large tank buster hits. Here you see a Bark. Yep, great Bark. Now we do have Convoke. Convoke was a bit premature. I would have held on to Convoke for a bit before using it. We do have Wall for this Hateful Strike, but it's a bit early to use it. We have a lot of Rage too, so we should have used something there. That would have been extremely lethal if it was nothing. On a hierarchy, I mean. Because we had a lot of Rage, we didn't use Furs, and we held on to our Wall until later. So we had to use Wall there. Now we do have Bark still, and Scale, while we just use our Scale. A bit overreaction using both, but that's fine. The boss is about to die. Oh, that actually goes catastrophic back. We get knocked back into the chains into... We're still alive though. We're living. Holy hell. We get paints up. We're mega fine. This is usually where the healer's panicking hard, but it's all good. We're mega fine. We have Bark up again too. Nice, we do get the Bark off. So the rest of this fight should be fairly easy. Well, actually, I spoke too soon. We don't have too much for these. All in all, not too bad, but we do need to work on our cooldown usages a bit. Same with our rage usage. Now we have 6.5 minutes left. All we have is last boss. We're Omega fine on time. Okay, so we're on the last boss. We pulled with scale, which is fine. But we do have Berserk, which is what I generally like to start with. Now, Bark on the first one is alright. But ideally you would have it for the second one because this one has an overlap, as you'll see in a second. So here we get Grasping Rift, which does a decent bit of our health, and we get the Reaping Scythe. That would have been a better usage of our Bark. And instead we end up using Berserk for that. And again, back to the basics, we need to be using Mangle way more. Mangle and Furs. Nothing's happening here, so we shouldn't use any Furs yet. Bark for the Scythe, I like it. Now, here we might struggle a bit. We don't have much for the Scythe. We take a full Scythe, unmitigated, but it's not too bad. In a hard Kivo, that would have been a bit lethal. This again, we won't have much for. Actually, we do have wall for that, so that ends up working out. Lust on the 50%, that's actually a really good lust because 50% is when the boss gets scary. And if you have a lot of time like we do here in our key, you definitely want to be lusting when the boss is below 50. So here we won't have anything again. This is actually a bit dangerous. This is where we really need to test our ability to manage up cooldowns a bit more. Ideally, I would like to see our Disc Priest using a bit more externals, like Barrier or Paints Up, or even Rapture Shields. And then we would react accordingly. So like if we got Paints Up, we would not press Spark or Convoke or whatever wall. But we do finish this key fairly easy. We do a nice chill route. So yeah, for things we need to work on, let's go over it real quick. I would like to see Incarn being played. I would like to see Mangle and Thrash being used way more. We need Iron Furs to be pressed more. And I would like to see Bash or Mass Roots, In-Cap Roar, those being tracked. Aside from that, we did pretty well for the most part. We used our cooldowns on cooldown, which is a really good thing. Also, in Tyrannical, we probably could pull a little bit more aggressive, but we are pugging, so it's completely understandable that we're taking it a bit safer. All in all, I think that was a solid run. But that is it for the video. If you guys have any more questions, or if you guys want to see more of these type of videos, I can definitely do more of them. Thank you all for watching. If you guys liked the video, hit the like, comment, subscribe, and see you soon.